All right, so get cozy, everyone, because today we're doing things a little differently.
Oh.
Yeah, we're stepping into this cafe.
Mm.
And in this cafe time takes a little bit of a detour.
Interesting.
We are diving deep into Before the Coffee Gets Cold,
Okay.
a book just, overflowing with stories about second chances and misconnections.
Yeah.
And just the weight of all those things we wish we'd said.
Oh, I know that feeling. Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how this book
It is.
blends the fantastical,
Yeah.
like a cafe where you can just revisit moments from your past
Right.
with just these really deeply human, relatable emotions.
Yeah, and it's all centered around this charming old-fashioned cafe
Right?
that feels almost frozen in time,
Yeah.
right down to the lack of air conditioning.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that too.
It really stuck with me.
The cafe itself is resisting
It is.
the rush of the modern world,
Mhm.
holding on to something precious and timeless.
Definitely.
But before anyone gets any ideas about rewriting their history,
Oh, yeah.
there are some very strict rules
Yes, there are.
to this time-traveling cafe.
Rules that add a layer of tension and honestly make you wonder if it's even worth it.
Right.
You can only go back to a time when the person you want to meet was also in the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And you absolutely have to return before your coffee gets cold.
And the biggest rule of all,
Yes.
you can't change the present,
Nope.
even if you learn something new from the past.
So why bother?
That's the question I kept asking myself as I was reading these stories.
And that's where the emotional core of the book lies.
Yeah.
The 4 stories, the lovers, husband and wife, the sisters, and mother and child, they're not about fixing the past.
No.
They're about finding something else,
Interesting.
something more internal.
Okay, let's unpack the first story, The Lovers.
All right.
We meet Fumiko,
Okay.
who's heartbroken because her boyfriend, Goro,
Mm-hmm.
is moving to America for work, and she's full of regret
Oh.
for not being honest about her feelings.
What makes her story so compelling is that it taps into that universal fear of what if.
Yeah.
We've all had those moments
Oh, yeah.
where we wish we'd said or done something differently in a relationship.
Absolutely. And Fumiko gets the chance to go back
She does.
to a specific conversation with Goro
Uh-huh.
from a week earlier.
Okay.
A conversation that took place right there in the cafe
Mm-hmm.
before they knew about its time-traveling secret.
It's like the cafe was always there,
Oh,
waiting to offer them this opportunity.
right.
But they had to reach a certain point of emotional readiness first.
So when Fumiko goes back,
Yeah.
does she pour her heart out to Goro?
Does she?
Does she change his mind about leaving?
She does confess her feelings.
Okay,
But remember, the rules state she can't change the present.
right.
What she gains is a deeper understanding of Guro's insecurities
Okay.
and his own struggle with the idea of leaving her behind.
So is that enough?
Is it?
Is understanding enough to soothe the pain of regret? What do you think?
It's a bittersweet resolution.
Okay.
Goro still leaves,
He does.
but Fumiko finds a sense of closure.
Interesting.
She understands his reasons.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
that allows her to let go of some of the what-ifs
The what ifs.
that were haunting her.
It makes you think about the nature of closure, doesn't it?
It really does.
Sometimes it's not about getting a different outcome,
Right?
but about finding peace with the choices that were made,
Yeah.
both our own and those of others.
And there's this beautiful sense of melancholy in this story.
Yeah.
A recognition that sometimes love and circumstance just don't align the way we hope they would.
All right, on to the second story. Husband and wife,
Okay.
where we meet Kotake, whose husband Fusagi has early onset Alzheimer's
Oh, wow.
and no longer recognizes her.
This one hit me right in the feels.
Yeah.
To see someone you love slip away like that, to be a stranger in their eyes.
It's a unique kind of heartbreak.
It is.
Absolutely. And Kotake wants to go back to a time when Fusagi was still healthy
Okay.
and give him a letter he'd intended for her but never delivered.
Oh, wow.
It's this mysterious brown envelope that adds this layer of suspense to the story.
You know what's interesting here is that even though Kotake knows she can't change the past,
Yeah.
she initially thinks she can get the letter early and bring it back to the present.
Really?
It shows how powerful the desire to hold on to something, anything,
Yeah.
from the person you've lost can be.
But Kasu, the waitress who guides the time travelers,
Right.
reminds Kotake that the present cannot be changed.
You can't bring anything back from the past.
Right.
And you can't take anything with you to the future.
This raises such an interesting question
It does.
about the nature of time travel.
Yeah.
If you can't alter events or bring anything back, What's the point?
Exactly.
Is it purely an emotional exercise?
Yeah.
A way to process grief and regret?
Maybe.
Well, when Kotake meets Fusagi in the past, it's like a brief flicker of their old life together.
Yeah.
He treats her like the Kotake he remembers and loves,
Right.
completely unaware of the future that awaits him.
And Kotake gets to experience that connection one last time,
She does?
even though it's bittersweet knowing he'll eventually forget.
And then Fusagi somehow senses that Kotake knows about his illness,
Oh, wow.
and his reaction is so heartbreaking. He asks, "So I forget you."
Oh, no.
It just shows how much he values their relationship,
He does.
even as he knows he's losing it.
And despite his sadness, he gives her the letter,
He does.
urging her to drink her coffee before it gets cold. This small act of kindness, even in the face of his own suffering,
Right.
is so powerful.
It is.
It speaks to the depth of his love for Kotake.
Back in the present, Kotake reads the letter and breaks down sobbing.
Oh, no.
It turns out it's not a love letter in the traditional sense,
What is it?
but a list of all the places they'd traveled to together,
Oh.
especially the gardens they'd visited.
And this detail reveals something profound about Fusagi's character.
Oh,
He wasn't clinging to those memories for work reasons,
okay.
but because they represented the happiest times of his life with Kotake.
The letter also reveals that Fusagi had accepted his fate
He had.
and was worried about the burden his illness would place on Kotake.
It's such a poignant reminder
It is.
that even in the face of a devastating illness,
Mm.
love and compassion can still shine through.
This story, it just makes you think about the nature of memory,
It does.
the fragility of life,
Yeah,
and the importance of cherishing the people we love while we still have them.
it really does.
What resonated most with you in this story?
For me, it was the way the book captured the emotional roller coaster of
Yeah.
loving someone with Alzheimer's, the joy of those fleeting moments of connection,
Yeah,
the heartbreak of watching them slip away,
right.
and the profound sense of loss that lingers even in the midst of shared memories.
And the letter, that simple list of places,
It does.
becomes such a powerful symbol of their love story.
Exactly. It's not about grand gestures or eloquent words,
Yeah.
but about those small shared moments that make up a life together.
This idea of seeking closure and understanding,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to change things.
Yeah.
It's a theme that runs throughout the book, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like the cafe is offering a different kind of time travel,
Hmm.
one that's focused on internal transformation rather than external manipulation.
All right, ready to dive into the third story.
I am.
This one explores a different kind of loss,
Okay.
the loss of a sibling.
The Sisters takes us into a world of complicated family dynamics and the raw, agonizing grief of sudden death.
We meet Hirai,
Okay.
who's reeling from the news that her younger sister Kumi has died in a car accident.
And the guilt Hirai feels is palpable.
It is.
Their relationship was strained,
Okay.
full of unspoken resentments and missed opportunities.
We learned that Hirai had left home years earlier after a falling out with their parents.
Right.
And Kumi had become the dutiful daughter,
Yeah.
the one who stayed behind to manage the family inn.
There's this sense of unspoken competition between them.
Right.
A classic sibling dynamic that often plays out in families.
And now Hirai is desperate for a chance to make things right,
She is.
to say the things she never got to say to Kumi.
The cafe offers her that opportunity.
It does.
But as always, with those strict rules in place.
Hirai chooses to go back
Yeah.
to a moment 3 days earlier when Kumi visited the cafe before heading back home.
Okay.
It's our last visit to Tokyo before the accident.
And this time, Kazu plays a more active role in preparing Hirai for her journey.
Okay?
She warns her that saying goodbye won't erase the pain,
It won't.
but it might bring a measure of peace.
She also introduces a new element,
Oh.
a small alarm that sounds just before the coffee gets cold, giving Hirai a more defined time limit.
It's like a safety net. A way to ease the anxiety of knowing exactly when she needs to return to the present.
So what happens when Hirai travels back?
Does she?
Does she find the courage to face her sister and express her true feelings? We were just finding out what happens when Hirai goes back in time to see her sister Kumi for the last time.
This scene is so powerful.
Yeah.
It really captures the rawness of grief and regret. Hirai initially hides from Kumi,
Oh, wow.
almost like she's afraid to confront the reality of her loss.
It's like she's both drawn to and repelled by the opportunity
Exactly.
to see her sister again.
Yeah.
It's a very human response to grief, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And then there's this moment where Kumi talks about a promise she made to Hirai,
Okay.
a promise that Hirai hasn't actually made yet in the present timeline. It plays with this idea of time as being more fluid than we think,
Right.
almost like the past and present are influencing each other.
It gives you chills, doesn't it?
It does.
That sense that maybe these time-traveling visits aren't just about the individuals,
Mm-hmm.
but about something larger, some kind of cosmic balancing act.
Exactly. And eventually, Hirai finds the courage to face Kumi.
She does.
And they have this brief but profound conversation.
Okay.
The book doesn't give us all the details,
Yeah.
but it's clear that Hirai manages to convey her love and regret, even without explicitly saying those words.
It's like actions speak louder than words in this strange time-bending cafe.
And there's this really touching scene where Ki, the cafe owner's wife,
Yeah?
steps in to help Hirai fulfill the promise Kumi mentioned.
Oh, wow.
It brings a sense of completion to the story, as though even across time,
Right.
these small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect.
It's amazing how, even though the present can't be changed,
It is.
the characters' journeys into the past still have this tangible impact on their present lives and even on the lives of others.
It's like they're bringing back a piece of that understanding and acceptance with them, and
Right.
it subtly shifts things in their present reality.
The last story, Mother and Child, shifts gears a bit.
Okay.
We've been following Ki, the cafe owner's wife,
Right.
as this calm, almost mystical figure who guides the time travelers.
Yeah.
But now it's her turn to face the unknown.
And this story is particularly poignant because Kia's pregnant,
Yeah,
but she's also facing serious health challenges.
right.
The book doesn't shy away from the emotional and physical toll her condition is taking on her.
And she's so used to taking care of others
Right.
that she downplays her own suffering.
Yes.
It's heartbreaking to see her put on a brave face
Yeah.
while carrying this heavy burden.
It makes you wonder, what does it take to push someone like Ki
Yeah.
to the point where they're willing to risk the unknown world of time travel?
Well, her doctor delivers some devastating news to her husband, Nagar,
Oh, no.
essentially saying that Ki's heart may not be strong enough to survive childbirth.
It's a gut-wrenching dilemma for Nagar.
It is.
Does he tell Ki the truth
Right.
and potentially cause her more anxiety? Or does he shield her from the harsh reality of her situation?
The book doesn't offer any easy answers,
Right.
but it presents the situation with such sensitivity and nuance.
It does.
You can feel the weight of Nagar's responsibility, the love and fear battling within him.
And meanwhile, Ki is blissfully unaware of the severity of her condition. She's completely absorbed in the joy of impending motherhood, talking to her unborn child and imagining their future together.
It's almost unbearable, isn't it?
It is.
That contrast between her innocent happiness and the looming threat of what might happen.
It's like the calm before the storm, and then Ki decides to use the cafe's time travel ability to get a glimpse into the future.
She does.
She wants to see if she and her baby survive, to find some reassurance that her child will have a life, even if she's not there to see it.
What a powerful motivation.
It is.
It speaks to that primal instinct to protect your offspring, even in the face of your own mortality.
And there's so much suspense built into this journey. Kazu, the waitress, reminds Ki of the rules.
Right.
She can't reveal anything she sees in the future to anyone in the present.
So we're left wondering,
We are.
what will Ki encounter? Will she find the peace she's searching for? Ki takes her place in the designated seat.
She does.
And as Kazu pours the coffee, there's this image of the steam rising from the cup
Yep.
and enveloping Ki, almost like a visual representation of the threshold between present and future.
Wow.
It's beautifully written.
It gives you chills, right?
It does.
And then we're transported 10 years into the future with Ki.
Okay.
But something's off.
What is it?
The cafe looks different,
Okay.
more modern. And there's no sign of Nagar or her child.
It's like her worst fears are coming true.
It is.
She's in this unfamiliar future, and her carefully constructed hopes are starting to crumble.
And when she asks the cafe manager about Nagar,
Yeah.
he tells her that Nagar is in Hokkaido,
Okay.
a northern island in Japan for reasons he can't disclose.
Ki's journey seems to have hit a dead end.
It does.
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, she's come all this way, risked so much,
Right.
only to be met with more uncertainty.
But just as Kaz is about to give up hope, the bell above the cafe door jingles,
It does.
and a young girl around 15 years old walks in,
Okay.
and Ki recognizes her instantly.
Does she?
It's the same girl who visited the cafe 2 weeks earlier
Right.
in
Yeah.
the present timeline.
Mm-hmm.
The girl who traveled from the future to get a photo with Nagar.
Okay.
But now she's older, more mature.
And the realization hits Kay like a thunderbolt.
It does.
This girl is her daughter, all grown up.
What a moment.
It is.
It's like fate intervened,
Yeah.
giving Key this unexpected glimpse into her daughter's life.
And all of Key's anxieties, all of her fears just melt away.
Yeah.
She's seen her child alive and well, thriving in the future.
It's the reassurance she so desperately needed.
But then as Key's coffee starts to get cold, signaling her imminent return to the present, the phone in the back room rings, and her daughter Miki answers it.
Okay.
And Key overhears snippets of the conversation, enough to piece together the truth.
Oh.
There's been a mix-up with her time travel request.
Oh, wow.
She hasn't traveled 10 years into the future. She's actually traveled 15 years.
Which explains why the cafe looks so different and why the manager didn't recognize Nagori.
And then Agari, who's on the other end of the phone, says something that sends chills down Key's spine.
What does he say?
He says, "The girl you see before you is our daughter."
Wow. That line gives me goosebumps every time I read it.
It's such a powerful realization for Key.
It is.
She's not just seeing a glimpse of her daughter's future. She's experiencing a moment in her daughter's present.
And as their eyes meet, there's this unspoken acknowledgement of their connection, this bond that transcends time and circumstance. It's a truly beautiful moment.
And just before Key returns to the present, she has one last encounter.
Who with?
Fumiko. The woman from the first story enters the cafe.
Okay.
But she's older and she's wearing a cafe uniform.
It's a subtle reminder that time keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
That life goes on even as we're caught up in these extraordinary moments.
And Fumiko greets Key with a simple but profound farewell, welcome home.
Oh, wow.
It's like she's acknowledging Key's journey, her acceptance of her fate, and her return to the present moment.
It's a beautiful way to tie the stories together. To show how even though each character has their own unique experience, they're all connected by this shared journey through time and grief. You know what strikes me most about this book?
What's that?
It's how Before the Coffee Gets Cold doesn't just, tell a story. It invites us to ask some really big questions about time regret and what it truly means to find peace.
Right. It's like the book itself is a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Slowly brewing these complex emotions and insights as we read.
And one thing that keeps coming back to me is how the cafe seems to have a mind of its own.
It does, right?
It's not just a setting. It's almost a character.
Yes. It's like it chooses who gets to time travel.
It does.
Who's ready for that emotional journey.
And then there are those unspoken rules, those hints that there's even more to the cafe's power than we see in these 4 stories.
Like what?
Like the fact that travelers from the future always arrive in the same seat, the one occupied by that mysterious woman in the white dress.
Right.
Who is she? What's her connection to the cafe's magic?
Yeah.
The book leaves us with more questions than answers.
It's tantalizing, isn't it?
It is.
And then there's that rule about returning before the coffee gets cold.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what happens if someone breaks the rules.
Right.
What are the consequences of lingering too long in the past?
The book doesn't explicitly tell us, but it creates this underlying sense of unease.
It does.
This suggestion that messing with time comes at a price.
Right. It's like the cafe is offering this incredible gift, this chance to reconnect with lost moments and find emotional closure. But there's a fragility to it all.
Yeah.
A reminder that time, even when we think we found a way to manipulate it, ultimately has its own agenda.
And maybe that's part of the beauty of this book.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us easy answers or neat resolutions.
No.
It leaves us with a sense of wonder and possibility and an invitation to ponder these big questions about life loss and the choices we make along the way.
Before the Coffee Gets Cold is more than just a charming read.
It is.
It's a story that lingers in your mind, making you re-examine your own relationships and the moments you might wish you could revisit.
Yeah.
If only for a fleeting moment.
And it reminds us that even though we can't change the past, the act of reflecting on it, of finding understanding and acceptance, can have a profound impact on how we live in the present.
If you're looking for a book that will spark conversations, challenge your assumptions, and leave you with the renewed appreciation for the power of human connection, then Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a must-read.
It's a story that will stay with you long after you've turned the final page.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe it will even inspire you to brew a cup of coffee and take a little journey down memory lane yourself.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been great.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those coffee cups warm.